is a scripting language, just like we said. It is a command. It is a command line tool. So basically, with PowerShell, everything that we see and do in GUI, everything that we can see and do in GUI, like create user, delete users, create OUs, assign permissions, and everything that can be done through GUI, it can be done from PowerShell as well. The only difference is PowerShell is a command line, whereas we can use GUI right here. So within the server, we can go and open ADUC or Active Directory Administrative Center. We can do everything right from here, and at the same time, if you need to do a command line, you need to go through PowerShell. Now, in order to work with PowerShell, PowerShell commands are not run in all of the application. It can run in only in its own shell. So it's right here. So if you ever need to run a PowerShell command, then all you need to do is you need to go to Server Manager. Everyone, you need to go to Server Manager, and from Server Manager you need to go to Tools. Within Tools, you need to go to Active Directory module for PowerShell. So you need to open Active Directory module for PowerShell, and in this PowerShell, then you'll be able to run PowerShell commands. Now, why is it called PowerShell? Guys, it is called PowerShell because it has commandlets that works like application. These are not simple commandlets. One command can do a lot of stuff. As compared to previously in Windows, there used to be something called DOS commands. So Windows, right from the start, we used to use DOS commands. A very simple command, just to see the folder settings. So you would say dir, and you can see all of the folders and files, and you can copy by using a copy command and so on. But this is not that important. But the important thing here is now this has all been upgraded. The simple DOS has been upgraded to now PowerShell, what is called PowerShell. Now in PowerShell, all the commands are not known as commands, they are known as commandlets. So they are known as commandlets. Number one, we need to understand that the PowerShell, these are known as commandlets. And each commandlet is made up of two words. And how do we define those words?
Verb and noun.
It is verb and noun. It is verb and noun. And so it is verb and noun. So on verb side, you can have new, set, get, remove, and many others. And you can see many others here as well. So now in PowerShell, you don't need to remember commands. You don't need to remember command. You don't need to remember command, but it's but what you need to do is you need to kind of learn how to use these commands. So in order to use these commands, all you need to do is, if you can understand using help, get help, then you'll be able to find your way working with PowerShell. So it is get help or get command. So let's try using them. First of all, all you need to do is go to Tools, and within Tools, go to Active Directory module for yes.
So I have a question. So the thing is, it's Server Manager. When you click on that tool, and what's the difference between that and the command on the bottom?
Yes, a very good question.
Yesterday,
yes.
Because yesterday I clicked on that, and I was doing everything there, so I don't want to make a mistake in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So let's look at this first. Let's look, and I'll hold your question for a few minutes, and once I'm done, I'll go back to this one. So here it says Active Directory module for PowerShell. As soon as you open this, guys, everybody has opened this?
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as you open this here, now you can run Active Directory commands. Now, at the same time, guys, let's open this other one as well. So I'll open it. I'll keep it on the side, and I'll open this one as well. There is another PowerShell command. There is a shell. There is another window for PowerShell, which is this one right here, sitting beside Server Manager. Let's open this as well. Now this is blue color, and this one is a black color. Now there is a difference between the two. Both are PowerShell windows. In both you can run commandlets. In both you can run commandlet. But let's see. Here, if I say get commands, okay, so once you say get commands, it will show you all the commands that are available. But let's say I just want to see only AD commands, the command for Active Directory, and those commands are you can say star AD star, meaning star means that any word that has the word AD in it, but it can start with anything and end with anything. So star means anything. So here, now these are okay.
Wait, what did you do? Sorry?
I'll do it again.
Yeah, did you do anything after the get command?
I'll show you.
No.
So I just said get command star AD command.
So case sensitive or no?
It's not case sensitive. It's not case sensitive. Okay.
It's not S.
Oh, it's not commands. It's just command.
Yeah.
Get command.
Just right there.
Not
Get command. So just use get command. Get dash command. Are you using get dash command? No. So it's always dash. Dash must be used. Get dash command. So it's a matter of using noun and verb and noun. Yes. No, you can't. I mean, you can make the screen bigger, but you need to, in order to effectively read everything, you need to go to command by command. So whatever command you are searching for, just get help for that one command. Okay. So here, now, guys, PowerShell. So our other server is a domain controller as well.
So a quick question.
Yes.
On the command that we have from desktop and the one that we have on the PowerShell,
Yes.
it's
It's a little different.
no. When I run the command on the desktop one, it's showing me errors. But when I run it on the other one, it's going through.
No, it should be run. So which command? Which command? Get dash
command.
get dash command.
On this one, the Active Directory one.
I'm working
So
both
on
on
this
me.
it's showing error, but on that it's getting.
Okay, so this is the command prompt. This is not PowerShell. This is not. So you need to run that. So close this. This the other one. This one. Close this and open the one beside Server Manager. Yeah, this one. Okay. So now let's see, guys. Let's see one more thing here. So first of all, one word for PowerShell is commands. We can run commands in PowerShell. In order to run these commands, there are so many commands in there. We do not need to remember all of the commands. All we need to do is that if ever you need to work with the command, you need to know which command it is and how do you get help and how do you copy paste that in your own command window. So, but before even going there, guys, this PowerShell, basically when you open a PowerShell here, so let's open a PowerShell. PowerShell. Now, before PowerShell, what was there in computers? So before PowerShell, computers just have a command prompt. It's a simple command prompt. Now look carefully on my screen here. I'm going to open just a command prompt and not a PowerShell. So I'm going to close the PowerShell windows. The PowerShell windows that I have, I'm going to close them. And the only thing that I'm going to open is, so just go to Start. Everyone, just go to Start. In this place, just here. And in this place, just type the word CMD. CMD. Just type the word CMD. Once you're on the screen, it won't show you where to type, but as soon as you're on the screen, just type CMD. It automatically get into a search mode. So it doesn't give you this search window, but it automatically start getting into search mode. Now, once it is here, this is a command prompt. This is known as a command prompt. Now, this command prompt is to run simple commands in the server or Windows 7. This simple command prompt, and here you see that it says the word command prompt. Guys, why do we need to understand this? Because you keep on writing PowerShell commands in this, and they keep on giving you error message. PowerShell commands cannot be run in this command prompt. Okay, so always remember, this is to run command prompt is to run simple commands, Windows DOS commands in it. You don't need to remember DOS command, but one thing that for sure you need to remember, on command prompt, there is no PowerShell. Now, where can you run PowerShell? It has to be a PowerShell window. So first of all, let's say if in this window, if I run get dash command, now before even pressing enter, I can press tab. If tab doesn't complete anything, it means that it's not running. There is no PowerShell. So one indication of a PowerShell is that if you run incomplete word in PowerShell and press tab, then it should automatically complete the word. So always in your real environments or wherever you're working in PowerShell, guys, do not try to run PowerShell commands in this, because this is a very basic understanding. If you try to run PowerShell in real environment in command prompt, they will definitely find out that you don't know the difference between simple commands and PowerShell command. So here I'm just giving you this one tip, that whenever you see the word command prompt here in this window, PowerShell won't work. So all the commandlets won't work. Here you can run simple commands as, let's say, a dir command. It runs a very simple command. It's called a dir, just to show the directory. Some of you already know what that is, but it's not important to know at the moment. So here I just wanted to show you the difference between the two, that if this is open, PowerShell won't work. Now let's open PowerShell. I'll leave that here, and I'll go back to my tools here and open PowerShell. So now, as you can see, PowerShell is open here, and I do have this other screen here as well. So this is the command prompt, and you see here it says the word PowerShell, meaning in this I can run PowerShell, and in this I cannot run PowerShell. The clear difference is that you must know that here, if it says the word command prompt, it's a command prompt window, it won't run. Now in this, let's try a tab switch. Tab. So I'm going to say get dash h, and then I'm going to say tab. As soon as you press tab, it automatically populates the word, and it means that PowerShell is available in this. And the next one here, I'm going to say get dash help. I'm going to say get dash AD star. Oh, it doesn't have help. It needs internet to get the help. Okay. So I'm gonna add another network card to get internet on my machine. Let's say if having internet can, so this server does not have the complete help file. Otherwise, it would have shown us the help file here. I'm gonna go down to. So while this is trying to download, let me tell you the difference between this here. So now it did. So as soon as internet was here, it did. So here. So now these are all Active Directory related commands. Let me increase the font so that we can see what command did I run. So here, properties. So the command I ran just to see all Active Directory commands is this. I said get dash help. Guys, all commandlets must be written in this format, meaning the first word minus the second word. So if there is no space in between that, it is a dash, that it's not an underscore, so it's a dash between the two words. So get dash help, I just said get dash AD and star. Now this simply means, this command simply means, so run that command right now. Run that command now.
Get ADX?
Yes. So run that in your PowerShell window. Run this command in your PowerShell window and you'll see a result like this.
It's AD star.
Yes, AD star. Is it? Okay. So these are all Active Directory commands. Now, what did we do? We just said, get help. I need to see help for what? I need to see help for get AD. So any command that has the word get and it has dash, it starts with AD, and rest star means anything, any letter that comes after this. So all AD command starts with the word AD. So you can say get AD user. You can say get AD. So these are all of the Active Directory commandlets. So if I go on this side, let's say you need to see the forest, it says get dash AD forest. You need to see a domain, it says get dash AD domain. So it will show you a domain. Here it says group, and everything, each and everything that you want to see in Active Directory, this is. So we already know that get simply means to get or fetch some information. And set means you need to modify something in Active Directory. Now let's take one of the commands, AD, let's say get AD forest. So now in a new command, we're gonna say we're gonna try get dash domain. So get dash
AD.
okay, AD domain.
AD.
Okay, here. So as soon as you say get dash AD domain, and guys, with PowerShell,
Why are you cleaning the unit?
huh?
No, it's not wearing the.
No, clear. It's a clear or CLS. But guys, here, when you work with PowerShell, when who work with PowerShell? When you work with PowerShell, when we work with PowerShell, guys, be ready to see these red messages all the time. So don't be panicked, don't be alarmed that, oh, you're saying a lot of this red message simply means that there is something wrong with your command. Either the command is not right, either you're not using the spaces or dashes in them. So whenever you see PowerShell, guys, this is very, very normal that you will see these messages all the time. Now, if these most of the time these messages are very, very accurate, so they will point you out to the word where the problem is. So, for example, I wrote this command wrong. I had a typo writing this command. So what my typo? I said get dash DA domain. It should have been AD domain. I said DA domain. And here it's saying get dash AD domain. The term get dash DA domain is not recognized, meaning it's not even a command. So always read that red message properly. In the first or second line, it will indicate what the problem is with your command. Now, as soon as you write the right command here, so it says get dash AD domain, it now gives you all the information about your domain. For example, here it says your forest name is egreen.pri. Now there is lot of information. You don't need to understand all that information, but majorly we need to understand. I mean, just for example, it has computer container. Later on, we're going to go into that attributes, so you will be able to understand some of the attributes. We don't need to understand all, most of the attributes here, but here, let's look at this. So forest is egreen.pri. Your NetBIOS name is egreen. Your domain name is egreen. So here it gives you a lot of information, and your replica directory servers are 2. So it is showing that there are 2 domain controllers in your domain. So domain, it has 2 replica directory servers, and one is egreen SRV1 and second one is egreen SRV2. So it does give you a detailed information about your domain. So now going back. So I'm going to say the word clear, C-L-E-A-R, and clear clears the screen so that you can run new commands. So here, clear. Okay, other than this, here it's the same thing. Here it's the same thing. In your book, it says how to use the get command, get command, and everything. It says get dash command, new AD star. So basically, whatever command you're looking for, you can just use the word star at the end, and it will show you the command. Now, working with PowerShell is not a easy stuff. It's not a easy stuff. And at the same time, guys, I personally think it's not very important to work with PowerShell. But since we are going through this, try to go through all the commands as much as possible. But if you're stuck somewhere, do not spend huge hours and hours on fixing those commands, because it's not that important. The most important thing is to understand major components of Active Directory, major component of how they connect together, like DHCP, DNS. There is a lot more detail that we need to understand. Commands, on the other hand, yes, it is important. If you're able to go through them in first half an hour or let's say for 40 minutes, it's fine. More time spent on just few commands and try to fix them, guys, it's a waste of time. Don't spend that much of a time. Now, in this chapter, let's look at this. In this chapter, if I'm going to go down here, there is an exercise. So this exercise is, so it starts from page 241, and on page 41, it is doing most of the stuff with PowerShell. It wants you to do most of the stuff with PowerShell. For example, here it wants you to create OUs with PowerShell here. So here you need to type all this information. You need to type a new AD organizational unit. So if I So here, let's say you need to create a new organizational unit. It says new AD organizational unit, and the name is Montreal, and the path is just this. So instead of Contuso, you need to. So here it says our domain name is egreen, and here it is Contuso. But we're not doing this lab at the moment, guys. What we need to do during the week, you need to complete this exercise on 2 extra servers. So what you need to do is, so this is our class lab, and secondly, we do have a home lab. We do have a home lab, which is exactly a copy of a class lab. So in class, whatever we are doing, that's what we are doing in class, but a copy of this needs to be done. We also need to create just 2 more servers, and in 2 more servers, we'll follow the book lab. This is what we decided from day 1. Now, you might think that these are too much. It might be too much work, but I think it's not too much work. It's just following these step-by-step exercises here.
Server 2012.
In server 2012. Yes, both are server 2012. It's right here. So let's open. If everybody has a PDF, who does not have PDF? Everybody has PDF. So if you have a PDF, so you can go to page 241 and let's read through it. Just first few lines. The goal of this section is to provide you with the hands-on practice in the following: creating organizational unit using PowerShell, creating a user using PowerShell. To perform the following exercise, you need at least one clean installed server 2012 and a GUI with a GUI installation. The server is assumed to be a domain controller in this domain. So it gives you some high-level information. So in this case, all you need to do is you need to prepare 2 servers. And new servers at home. So yes, 2 servers at home, and then so for the purpose of this exercise right here, it says the name of the server is DC1. So the first server will be called DC1, DC-1, and you need to install ADDS role on this. You need to install ADDS role, and your domain name is corp.contuso 241. It's right there.
We need to create a new domain as well, or
Yes. It has its own domain. Actually, here it only mentions only one server. Maybe you don't need to create 2 servers. It's just one server with the name DC1, and your domain name should be corp.contuso.com. Once you create this server, let me see if it mentions any IP address here. So log on to this domain, and this domain, go to the root of the C. Okay, so here it takes you from here. No IP address mentioned. I think we're going to use our own IP address. Okay, so it is just one exercise in this complete chapter. Okay, yes. So here the IP address we're going to use is 192.168.200.10. IP address, subnet mask, and preferred DNS. So these are the settings. So for to do this exercise on page 241, you need to do these. Just create a server that is called DC-1, and then create a domain that is with the name corp.contuso.com, and the IP address is this, subnet mask is this, and then the preferred DNS is this. So here I just want you to see that how to do these exercises from the book. Yes, so rest of the stuff from the chapter we did that in class yesterday. Is this understandable? So all you need to do, create just one server with the name DC1 inside and outside. Yes.
So we shouldn't do this for, like, we shouldn't create home lab, we should just separately create one?
No, you must create a home lab. Home lab is exact copy of class lab, but this is for the book lab. So for book lab, it's just saying create one server. This will be completely separate from all other servers. Okay. So this server, the name will be DC-1 because it's mentioned here in the exercise. Guys, follow the exercise. This is the first exercise. I'm just giving you baby steps here, just to show you that how to follow exercise. Next time, I'm just gonna say just follow exercise number this and this from this chapter. All you need to do is read through the explanation. What is required from this exercise. So at the start of each exercise, here it explains. Yes, at the start of each exercise here, it explains here that what do you need to do. You need to create organizational unit. You need to create this, and in this here it shows me that what is the name of this. So carefully go through this description before you're creating the exercise. Before you're creating this, so that you can. So this is your homework for the next week.
Exercise 1.
Exercise 1. It has only one exercise. This chapter has one exercise.
So we're naming it as DC1.
It is said here, yes. It is said here, we're naming it as DC1, and the domain name is right here. Domain name is corp.condusa.com. It has 3 names in the name, yes.
Very layman question.
Okay.
What is the difference between lab and exercise?
Lab and exercise. Exercise, obviously, I mean, is there a question? It's not even a question. Exercise, what we do outside in the park and start doing exercise. And lab is lab here.
Whatever you do in lab, that's exercise.
Yes. What is exercise 2? Oh yes, yeah, we do need to do exercise 2. So it's just creating a user account with PowerShell. So just to let you know, guys, this exercise 1 and exercise 2, these are not simple exercises. You might have to spend some time to understand this exercise. It is understandable. So at this point, you all should be able to do it. If you're not able to do it in a group, or I'm here. We are open 6:30, 7:30 every evening. You can come here and do the exercise, but it must be completed before the next class. Okay, so now we're starting chapter 6, guys. Chapter 6.
Should we deal with PowerShell?
No, PowerShell will be keep on. It's part of all of the chapters. PowerShell. So we're done with the basics of PowerShell. This is where to run the command. How do you open that? How do you open the PowerShell window and then run the command, and how to get the help? And PowerShell commandlets are made of verb and noun. So if you're able to understand that, then we'll keep on working with PowerShell. It all comes with experience. Yes.
Okay, so back to my original question. But I want to know the difference.
Oh yes. The difference between the two. The difference between the two. So here, guys, the question here is that what is the difference between this PowerShell, this one? When you open this, it opens in blue color, but it's also a PowerShell. And here, the one that you open with tools. So that, guys, here, first of all, do we understand the question? The question is, what is the difference between this PowerShell and the one that is here? So this one and that one. First difference is the color. The color is the difference, yeah. And second difference is the name of this window, and it makes sense. Guys, here it says it is an Active Directory module for PowerShell. It says Active Directory module for PowerShell. Now, as you can see, look at this quickly. So I'm gonna close this. Just have a so once I open, you see the difference. So as soon as I open, yes, question?
Yeah, do we need the internet to work on the server?
Not necessarily, but is it giving you error message?
It said limited, no internet access.
It's fine, no issues. Oh, on the server or on your host machine?
On the server.
On the server, it's okay. It won't work with that card. We need to add another card, and I'll show you how to add another card. Okay, guys, let's look at this. As soon as I open this, you see the difference. Everyone, look at this. As soon as I open this, you see this window that came and it loaded something. And if I open this, it just opened without loading something. Guys, the thing here is, this PowerShell is a simple PowerShell without Active Directory commands. So in this PowerShell, by default, there are no Active Directory command. It has just simple PowerShell command. But when you load the other tool, it automatically loaded with Active Directory commands. Okay, so that's the big difference. Now, PowerShell basically is made up of, so first of all, the normal PowerShell, which is this one, it comes with simple PowerShell commands. It comes with simple PowerShell command. But if you need to run any AD commands, you need to have a special module attached with this. So PowerShell comes with 6 different modules. It comes with 6 different modules. So here, let's say, so there are modules attached with PowerShell. Now, what is modules? Right, modules are a set of commandlets for a particular application. For example, a module is, so there is a special module for AD. So all AD commands are attached here. So all AD commands will be attached, will be written in this. And there is a special module for SQL application. There is a special module for Exchange application. So meaning, guys, meaning this PowerShell doesn't come with those commandlets. Now, why would it come simple? Guys, it comes as simply, it's just for this reason. Let's say this is a PowerShell commandlet. This is a PowerShell window. Now, PowerShell window that comes with simple, which is this, it has only simple commands. So meaning when it opens, it's very light. And when you need Active Directory commandlets, what you need to do, you need to add that commandlet, and all those commands will be added in PowerShell. So, and when you need SQL commands won't run in this. So once you need to run SQL commandlets, you need to add that module. So the more modules added to this window, the more heavier it becomes and more slower it becomes. So for that reason, the default PowerShell is empty. It does not have all these special modules. So when you open when you open this window right here, now I'm going to open that again one more time with this description. As soon as you go to tool and it says, now you should be able to understand this word, Active Directory module for PowerShell. Meaning when you open that PowerShell, Active Directory commands are already part of that. So right here. So it automatically loads them and you can start using them. So that's the difference. So the normal command PowerShell, it might not run Active Directory commands, or and if it doesn't run, it means that it does not have the module. All you need to do, bring that module and add it to PowerShell. Other than Active Directory module, there are 6 other modules for this. There is a System Center module, SCCM module, Exchange module. What is module? Module is just set of commandlets that can be run in that window. That's very simple.
Sorry, can I just, I want to know, can you just, out of curiosity, tell me the 6 different modules that there are?
Out of curiosity?
Yeah.
Yes, I will. So I'm going to show you actually these modules. So here, let's say PowerShell modules list. There you go. And these are, the better they can be seen in images.
So would command run if you're not an administrator?
Would
your command box still run if you're not an administrator?
The command?
Yeah.
No, the command will run, but it will give you permission denied. It will run, it will give you permission denied.
modules, you have to basically install them first, like you know how to install Active Directory before we can basically utilize them, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So these modules doesn't even exist if you don't have the role or application. And so I mean, I'll find it for you, but in general, so there is a module for Exchange. There is a module for Active Directory. There is a separate module for SQL. There is a separate module for Hyper-V. There is a separate module for SCCM. There is a separate module for SCVMM. And there is a separate module for some other products as well. So basic are 6, and then for all major applications, there are those commandlets. You don't need to remember them because there are so many. But the only thing you need to remember is that when you have PowerShell, PowerShell might have a simple window, and that simple window might not run Active Directory commands. It's not running Active Directory command. The reason is it's not running Active Directory command because the commands are not added to the module. Okay, so for now you can remember there is a separate module for this 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and there are a few others as well. Okay, you're welcome.
Sorry, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
I just want to know, when you say Active Directory commands, does it mean like we can add a user and stuff, or in what sense Active Directory commands?
Yes. So it simply means if you do not have a module for AD in PowerShell, if you do not have a module for AD in PowerShell, you won't be able to run any get AD user command. So any command related to Active Directory, you cannot run. Okay, it simply means. And same thing, let's say you want to manage Exchange through PowerShell, and if you do not have a module for Exchange in PowerShell, you won't be able to run any Exchange command. It simply means that. So module means that it has the command set of related to that particular application. Okay. I'm gonna take a picture quick and then start the next one. But you see, these are third party, IBM, and so there are many. You were speaking some other language?
No.
So do we understand the homework? This is the homework. So homework is, this is chapter 5, exercise 1 and 2. At the end of the chapter, you need to create one server with Active Directory. The name of Active Directory, contuso.com. It is all written within the exercise. This is just, and it does not have IP address. Just somewhere write this IP addresses that you need to assign to that server. Okay, so now we are at chapter 6, network administration. To Two important topics in this: number one, DHCP; number two, DNS. So first one, DHCP. In this chapter, we're going to look at DHCP right to its depth, understand each and everything in DHCP. Although in book number 2 there is DHCP explained in depth as well, but I'm going to take this chapter and go through DHCP. So we're gonna by the let's say end of today, if we are able to finish DHCP, it's fine, but we need to understand right to its depth what is DHCP, and it's a very, very important tool for all organizations. So first of all, to start with DHCP. Now DHCP, so DHCP, if you go to the server manager of first server, go to server manager of first server. Let's understand where is DHCP. So DHCP sits here right in roles. So go to server 1 in our class server and go to add roles and features, and then go to next and next and next. Select server number 1 from here. Select server number 1. If you do not have server number 2, it's fine. All you need to do, select server number 1 and go to next. And here is your role called DHCP, which we installed last time for our WDS services. So DHCP, first of all, DHCP is a role in server 2012. And I'm going to say server 2008 R2 and server 2012. So in both servers, it's a role. In both of these servers, DHCP is exactly the same. So it is a role in server 2008 and 2012, number one. Number two, the main purpose of DHCP, one word, is automatic IP addresses. DHCP assigns automatic IP addresses. So DHCP assigns, here I'm going to say function or purpose. Assign automatic IP addresses. Main purpose of DHCP is automatic IP addresses. Now here we need to understand why somebody needs to assign automatic IP addresses, because we need to understand that basic point that without IP address no two devices can communicate with each other. So here we need to understand IP address. IP address is important because no two devices such as computers computer can communicate with each other without IP address. So IP addresses are important because no two devices can communicate with each other without IP address. Phone uses internet, needs IP address. Where does it get the IP address from? From our home router. The router that we have at home for internet, it automatically provides the IP address. Without IP address, internet won't exist because the complete internet is based on IP address. So here IP address is important because no two devices computer can communicate with each other without IP address. In order to assign IP addresses, we have two ways to assign IP addresses. So here, two ways. IP addresses. Number one, manual. Second one, automatic. Manual way of assigning IP address is, so how do you manually assign IP address? Yes.
So what do you mean by that?
No two devices can communicate with each other without IP address.
just mentioned with, you actually.
I said with.
With now.
Sorry about that.
I think
with-
that was
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Question?
No, through TCP/IP.
Oh yes, through TCP/IP. How do you manually assign IP address? We have all assigned IP address through TCP/IP. So here, yes, we can write that manually assigned IP address through TCP/IP. Through TCP/IP. Through TCP/IP settings. Through TCP/IP settings. Guys, when the IP address is assigned manually through TCP/IP setting, it is set to be a static IP address. So here we need to understand. When the IP address is assigned manually, it is known as static IP address. And here it is. So when IP address assigned manually, it is called static IP. So we must understand this. Yes.
When you assign a static IP, would you choose an IP just from your IP pool?
Yes, or IP address given to you by someone, by your network team, by your manager, whoever understands the IP addressing. Okay. So here, static IP address. When you assign IP address manually, that is known as static IP address. So from now on, if we talk about static IP address, so you should know it is not assigned automatically. Static IP address, you just go in, put in the IP address, that is static IP address. Guys, automatic IP address on the other side, automatic IP addresses are assigned through DHCP. And DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So here I'm going to say DHCP. Dynamic host configuration assigned through automatic IP addresses are assigned through DHCP, and these IP addresses are called dynamic IP address. And IP addresses assigned through DHCP are called dynamic. So two words, static IP address and dynamic IP address. Okay, so is this understandable? So just a quick reviewer. Guys, today we are going through DHCP, understanding DHCP. One word for DHCP is automatic IP addresses. So DHCP assigns automatic IP addresses. What does DHCP stand for? DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Guys, it's not a new service or new feature. It was there right from the start of network operating system. So it was DHCP was present in the days of NT4, 2000, and 2003. So here we need to understand that a DHCP existed in NT4, and NT4 was upgraded to. So here, Windows Server history. So the very first Windows Server operating system was NT 4.0. Before that, for a very few time, there was NT 3.5 actually. So 3.5 was upgraded to 4.0. This was a famous operating system at that time. It ran. It was being used for 4 years, and after that it was upgraded to 2000. This was upgraded to 2003. This was upgraded to 2008, and this is upgraded to 12, and now this is going towards 16. In the middle of 4 years, so there is a 4 years time span between each major release. So 4 years. This is Microsoft release cycle, 4 and 4. In the middle, they release out R2 version. R2. Guys, as being a system admin, as being a MCSC, as being a SCC, as being a MCSA, you must have this on your fingertips. Now, anybody from anywhere, now it's not only about interviews, it's about when you're sitting in meetings with other people, they might they might throw a trick question on you. Okay, so it was NT4. Oh, what is NT4? I don't know the NT4. So you must understand the previous version. All you need to remember just the names. You don't need to go into huge big details about them. But NT4 was upgraded to 2007. It was upgraded to 2003, then 2008, 2012, and 2016. Yes.
This second release, the R2 started from 2003 only. So Windows 2000 didn't have any R2.
No, I don't think so.
And this R2 for companies, is it free or they have to purchase that? Let's say
It is free.
it is free.
It's free. If they already have 2008, they can upgrade it to R2.
Okay.
But if they don't have 2008, then they have to buy it. No, it's free. The upgrade is free. DHCP, automatic IP addressing. DHCP, automatic IP addressing. Let's say these are IP addresses. These are IP addresses. And no two machines can communicate with each other without IP address. So meaning I have to provide this IP address to one machine. Take it, please. And I need to provide that second IP address to second person, and I need to provide that third IP address to that. Now these three machines can communicate with each other. Okay. How do I provide these IP addresses? I can configure them statically. I can go onto each machine and configure them. This is what I did statically. This is because I went to each machine and give it to them. This is known as static IP configuration. Yes.
Is that why two of our one server and one client is linked to one server?
Yes. This is actually yes. On so linking is not a proper word. It might confuse you because there are two things why they are linked together. So yes, we can say on a network they are connected to each other. They are connected to each other because of IP addresses.
Is that why it replicates? Like
why it replicates is because of domain controllers.
okay.
And why domain controllers replicate? It's because of Active Directory. So for now, just remember that IP address makes it possible to work for all these machines. They are working together. And when you work with IP address, there are two ways we can assign IP address. There is static IP address, and there is second one, dynamic IP address. So there is a dynamic IP address. Yes.
So my definition, is it true or wrong that static IP address will always remain the same for that same machine because you
Yes.
assign it?
100%.
Dynamic can be changed.
They can be changed, and this is what we need to go through today. That how DHCP works and how long the IP address is assigned to people. So here, okay. So now we're understanding what is a dynamic IP address. Guys, dynamic IP address, as we have seen, it is a role, and as soon as you install the role, what happens is that we can now work with a tool called DHCP Manager right here. So this is known as DHCP Manager. Let's open DHCP Manager on first server. Now, if you don't have DHCP, you won't find it there. If you already installed DHCP, then you would see. At this point, do not install DHCP if you don't have it. Just look at the screen. This is DHCP Manager. Now, before even going into how DHCP work, guys, first we need to install how IP addresses are assigned. So two things. from the screen. Number one is that DHCP is a role, and secondly, we work in a DHCP manager to create to manage DHCP. Now, the next question is how DHCP assigns IP address. How DHCP assign IP address. Guys, DHCP assign IP address by following a process called DORA. It assigns IP address by following a process DORA, the Explorer. Okay, DORA the Explorer, not the Explorer, DORA. Guys, this process we need to understand. If you're able to understand this process, guys, you'll be able to fix many DHCP issues right from their root. So what is this process? This is known as, so D for discovery, O for offer, R for request, A for acknowledge. So this is a process. This process is known as discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. Discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. Shuja is not there. It's not there, but we must understand that. So discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. What is it? Discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. Now, how does it work? Guys, when a machine needs an IP address, so first of all, remember what we did when we needed to connect these machines? I went to each machine and set up the IP address. That was static IP address. But guys, you can do that for 2 or 3 machines, but you cannot do it for 3,000 machines, or maybe 40,000 machines, or maybe machines that are dispersed within the within your country. So in order for that, DHCP can provide them IP address. Now DHCP provides them IP address by following a process called DORA, which is discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. And this is how it works. So what happens is, first of all, you need to have a network. So first of all, you need to have a network right here. So it is server number 1, and this is your network. So here, now, I'm going to take an example for our own server. So this is our server number 1, and that server number 1 already has ADDS. It already has DNS in it, and there is no DHCP. So in this network, if this machine needs to start, so let's say this is a client machine. Guys, one thing always remember, servers, we don't assign them IP addresses from DHCP. All the servers get static IP address. Because on servers, we don't give them temporary IP addresses. DHCP gives temporary IP. So I'm going to take an example of a client. So this is a client machine, one of the client machines that need an IP address, that need to connect to the network. So this machine is connected to the network. Now connecting to a network simply means that it is connected through a cable. So it is connected through a cable. Windows 7 is here, and this server is server 2012, R2. No DHCP exists. So what is one-way Shoaib? What is one-way Shoaib? How can I assign IP address to this without DHCP? Manually. And how do you assign manually? You go into TCP/IP settings, and within TCP/IP settings, you need to assign the IP address. So there are 3 things in IP address. Number 1, it is IP address. Number 2, subnet mask. Number 3, and then DNS. There is a gateway as well, but that is not required. So here, these are the things. So this is called static IP address. But let's say there is not one client, but these are 3,000 clients. 3,000 clients, 300,000, 3,000 clients. And you need to assign IP address. Now, how does it work? So guys, following this process, discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. So first, any machine that needs an IP address, it discovers it runs the discovery. Now this machine is running the discovery. So basically discovery is running right here. It starts right from here. Now how does this client know that it needs to run a discovery? Guys, this client knows, I'm going to show you where do we fix that, where do we configure that. So if I go to any network network settings here and go to adapter setting, we all went through this a few times. So in properties, there is something called in TCP/IP right here. So right here it says obtain IP address automatically. When you select this option, it automatically goes into discovery mode. If you select this option, it automatically thinks that you are going to provide an IP address. So basically this point initiates a discovery. So this is where the discovery starts from. So what it does, it does a discovery. What is a discovery? Now discovery is simply a broadcast. It is a broadcast. Now what is a broadcast? Broadcast is a shouting message on a network. It shouts on a network. It shouts on a network and it just asks for one thing. I need an IP address. So it says, so discovery basically initiates a broadcast. Now guys, there are two things. There is something called unicast and broadcast. Unicast is that if it knows that I need to reach to this server directly, this is a unicast. Unicast is when it directly just sends a message to this machine and this machine sends it to this. That is known as unicast. But this machine, guys, doesn't know where is DHCP. So basically, it broadcasts itself. Are you making a home lab?
No.
Are you searching something on internet? If you are, it's fine. Huh?
You're special.
Okay. You're doing a class lab.
No,
You're doing so class lab is fine. Okay, here. It's very important, guys. Discovery. This is all you need to do. Just one-time understanding. Once you understand it one time, you will never forget it. And this is what DHCP is. So what it does, the first machine, when it starts, we need to understand as soon as you select this option, obtain IP address, discovery starts. And in discovery, it says it broadcasts a message. Now, what is broadcasting a message? Do we know that all computers are connected to a switch?
Yes.
So all the computers that are there, they are connected to some kind of switch. So main purpose of a switch to connect all the machines together. So what it does, when it broadcasts, so a machine is sitting here, the broadcast goes to all of the ports. This is a broadcast. So regardless of wherever, broadcast simply means the broadcast will be in all of the ports of a switch. Unicast, what is a unicast? Asad, unicast? One-to-one communication. Unicast is this. If this knows that message needs to go through from here to here, this is unicast. It's not doing a unicast. It's doing a broadcast. In broadcast, it will just shout saying, I need an IP address, and that shout will go to this port. And if somebody's sitting on this port, and if that someone is able to reply back, it would reply back. But if it doesn't, this broadcast won't do anything on this port. So it just broadcasted, and the only person who knows how to reply to this port is Mr. DHCP. Mr. DHCP. Mr. DHCP has those ears that can understand the DHCP broadcast. That can understand it. And DHCP, let's say, is sitting on this port here. So the broadcast goes here, then it goes here, nobody replies back, here, and here. As soon as it reaches DHCP now offers an IP address. So the offer part starts from here. Now, which means DHCP is sitting with a stack of IP addresses. So it has a stack of IP addresses, but it won't give it to everyone if nobody is asking. It will give it to the people who are asking for IP address. Meaning, if there is a static IP address, DHCP is not interested in giving IP address to you. It only assigns IP address. It only offers that IP address to a client who is asking for the IP address question.
In unicast, the request goes to the
directly to that machine.
Okay.
It directly goes to that. For example, the example of unicast is when you log in. When you log in, Your machine knows that it needs to reach Active Directory server. That is a unicast communication. Yes.
Release and renew, is that the same process?
Same process. Every time when you release and renew, it's the same process. Now, guys, here a point to be understood. Let's say somebody in a network saying that, you know, I'm not able to log in. If they're not able to log in, then you need to go really deep down in basics. The very first thing is this machine connected to the network? So you would go and check the cable if it is connected or not. Okay, it is connected. Second thing, is it getting the IP address? So you would go into the machine and check IP config. If IP address is there, no, IP address is not there. Now, IP address is not there. It means now it has two meanings. Number one, maybe it's not broadcasting. Or second one, maybe it is broadcasting, but DHCP is not responding. Or third one, maybe DHCP does not have enough IP addresses so that it can, so this is why I said, if you're able to understand this, you will be able to fix any DHCP issues. So the first one, as soon as the machine wakes up, connected, it does a discovery, it does a broadcast. The broadcast goes to all of the ports. It's not a unicast, it's a broadcast. And broadcast goes to all the ports, and the only person who replies back is Mr. DHCP. Now, guys, as soon as it replies back, actually now they start talking on a special channel. And that special channel is known as port 67. Port 67. Now, at this point, I want you to understand what is ports on a server. Guys, on all the computers, when they communicate with other devices, through other applications, they talk to other applications through some specific ports. Now, this is important to understand the port, because port troubleshooting, you might need to do it in VMware, in Citrix, in many different places. So you must understand what is a port. So first of all, port in a real life. What is a port in a real life? It's a doorway to your country, right? It's a seaport, airport, right? So seaport is ships are here, and then they connect to your country. There is airport where the airplanes lands, and then it's a connection to your country. In other words, you can call ports as doors as well. It's door to your country, right? So just like port is a door in a country, ports are also doors in a server. So you can understand that there is a special door open just for DHCP traffic. So if I'm saying DHCP communicates over port number 67, it means the DHCP communication can only go through door number 67. Now your next question is that how many doors are there? Guys, on a machine, on a computer, there are thousands of ports. In other words, thousands of doors. But DHCP communication, this complete process can only be heard and replied to through door number 67. And same thing goes here as well. It is door number 67. So from now on, if anybody asks you, what is the port number for DHCP? The port number for DHCP is 67, and it also uses 68 as well. So just 67. There are, guys, thousands and thousands of ports. Port can be 5,000, port can be 4,000, port can be 4,000, 4,860. Port can be any. But especially for DHCP, it is 67 and 68. Now, just like this, DNS also have a door. DNS door number is 53. So all DNS traffic just goes through this door. Let's say if this door is closed, then it means DHCP is there, but port is closed. If the port is closed, you cannot enter. Guys, here, if you ever heard of firewalls, how many of you ever heard of firewalls? So we all heard of firewall. Guys, firewalls, actually the main purpose of firewall is to make these, is to protect these doors. So let's say firewall is protecting you from outside threats. So basically viruses, they try to enter from all these different doors. So I said there are thousands of doors. So when the firewall is on, basically what it does, it protects each door. It's like a iron door that cannot be broken. So when you close the firewall, basically now all doors are open. So here, DORA process. When the IP address, and we're going to go for a break in quick 2 hours. No, in few minutes. So here, guys, DHCP works on a process called DORA, and I'll come back to your question. And the DORA process is discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. And right here, the discovery starts from a client machine. If there are 3,000 client machine, all of them are doing a discovery. If there are 400,000 machines, they're all doing a discovery. And so most of the discovery is done right when the office starts. So between 9 to 10, it is said to be that's the more discovery time, 9 to 10. Because this is the time when employees are coming, they're all logging in. So that is when the discovery happens, yes.
So all the client machine connected to same port, 67.
So,
or is it unique?
No. It's all the client machines are talking to DHCP from the same door. Same door.
The client machine had all client machine has 67.
Yes, they all have 67 as well. Okay. So guys, here, for example, if we all need to come into this class, you need to take that door, right? So that door is considered as a classroom door, and this is a door that is considered as DHCP, and the port number is 6768. So now one more time. Machine did a discovery, and discovery initiated a broadcast, and that broadcast travels here, and this guy replies back saying, okay, so you're asking for IP address, let me offer you an IP address. So it says, okay, I'm offering you an IP address. As soon as the offer goes here, guys, it won't give IP address here unless this requests again. So now it says, okay, I'm ready to offer you. So offer goes here. So I'm offering you. And what it does, it says, okay, so now I received an offer. Now what it does, so number 1 is here, number 2 is here. Now it says, now I'm gonna request an IP address. So the request goes from here. So request, and request is step number 3. So as soon as the request goes to DHCP now thinks that it's a legit offer. It's a legit offer, and I should provide an IP address to this. So at that point, it provides an IP address. So let's say the IP address is provided. It sends an IP address of 192.168, 100.50, and then it sends the acknowledgement as well. So it sends that IP address and it sends an acknowledgement. So this is how it's a complete handshake. So once you meet someone, you just shake hand. This is a handshake process. So it discovers the broadcast goes to DHCP. DHCP offers that IP address. Now you might think, why would it offer? Why would it wait for request? Why? Because guys, there are many machines that are not sending a legit request. So there might be some viruses. They are just sending the request, and they are not from your network. So at that point, it must after offer, it must send their offer back and saying that you're ready to request. So they would request back, and it would send the IP address to this machine. Now here there is a very important point. So first of all, do we understand that discovery starts from right there? So as soon as discovery, it goes to DHCP. DHCP offers their IP address, and after offering, this would request, and then DHCP acknowledges. It says, okay, you're a legit person, I'm going to give you that IP address. Guys, my question to you is, let's say, we said in the beginning that IP address is important because no two devices can communicate with each other if there is no IP address. So the first question is, this machine had no IP address to start with. How did it communicate with DHCP? Right? So we do understand, yes, DHCP provided that IP address, but how did this machine communicated with this? Because without IP address, it's not even possible two machines can communicate with each other. And it can be an interview question. No, it's not, Pixie.
000.
Because of the door?
Yes. Sorry, no, not even for the door. Yes, you're right. And no, not port. It must have an IP address. It must have an IP address.
There's a default IP address.
There is a default IP address. Yes?
Is it connected to NAT?
It can be connected to anyone. It can be connected to anyone. So guys, the answer is yes. So you said it. There is a default IP address just for broadcasts. There is a default IP address just for whoever needs to broadcast. They use that IP address. So for example, in different places, when you need to broadcast something to the complete college, they need to go into a certain room and then they would use that microphone to broadcast. So that broadcast IP address is 0.0.0.0. So their broadcast, so all of the 3,000 machines, first they acquire 0.0, and then they send a broadcast on this with this IP address saying that, okay, I'm sending you this broadcast here, the broadcast goes to here, and DHCP now. So first of all, this is a broadcast IP address. So I'm going to say this is a broadcast IP. Now, this brings a second question. The second question is that, okay, we do understand that this is a broadcast IP address. Let's say there are 3,000 machines using exactly the same IP address. How would this know which machine to communicate with which machine? Now, so since there is a dialogue happening between the server and a client, and this is asking a question, it is. So let's say there is a second machine. This one, it is also doing a broadcast. And there is a third machine, this is also doing a broadcast, and they're all using 0.0.0.0 and 0.0.0.0. And discovery happens here, discovery happens here, discovery happens here, and then it offers all three of them. So offer came here, so offer, offer, and offer. So now, how would DHCP know that which IP address is assigned to which machine?
Timestamp?
It's not a timestamp. It's not a timestamp, but you're close. So guys, it uses something called a MAC address. So here we need to understand that all of the machines have a number that is known as a MAC address. MAC address. What is a MAC address? Guys, MAC address is a physical address of any device. No, we don't. It is automatically recognized. Guys, MAC address looks like this. So here is a MAC address. MAC address, it looks like this. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 pairs of numbers, and MAC address is like this. Now, what is a MAC address? Just to understand a MAC address, all devices has a MAC address. All the devices. If you look at your phone, and all devices that communicate over the network, they all have MAC addresses. And MAC address,
They're unique to each machine?
Yes.
yes. So there is a MAC address on all of the devices. So on some phones, it's just written right here, some inside. Guys, MAC address is a unique address that is assigned to each device once throughout the world. MAC address, once MAC address is assigned to your phone or the net or your computer's network card, it cannot be reassigned again to anybody else.
Who assigns it?
It is assigned by the factory, and factory gets those MAC addresses from one central authority. I don't know what that is, but it is MAC address is a unique that is assigned to all the devices that are communicating over the network. So now here all we need to understand is this, that all the computers have MAC address. Now let's connect the dots here, and then we'll go for a break. So MAC address is a hexadecimal address. This is a hexadecimal address, 16 pairs. 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 pairs. 8 pairs. So it is a MAC address. Let's say the MAC address is 1C, 1F, 2C, 8F, AB, 98. Let's say this is a MAC address. Guys, each device has a MAC address. So now all you need to do, all what happens is that when it broadcasts, it sends a MAC address with the broadcast. So they are sending the broadcast on 0.0.0, but with their attached MAC address. So each machine is sending its own MAC address. So there is a MAC address of this machine, there is a MAC address of this machine in the request, and there is a MAC address in this machine. So with the MAC address, now DHCP knows that which machine I offered and which machine requested back. Maybe this machine discovered, so remember the process, discovery, offer, and then request. Let's say it did a discovery and it did send a offer, but this machine didn't request the IP address. Now, why would it not request an IP address? Because let's say you came into this room with the came into the college premises, but when you went out. Guys, as soon as any device that is trying to access internet, it does a DORA process. So many devices will get internet, some devices won't get internet. Because why? Because they are right in the middle. You just went out of the college, you were being offered, but you didn't request it back again. So here, just 2 points to remember. Number one, broadcast IP address is 0.0.0.0. Broadcast IP address is attached to a MAC address, and now it is sending a broadcast. So before sending a broadcast, you must understand these two things. They use a 0.0.0 channel and attach their MAC address. So it's something like this. So they're using this 0.0 and they're attaching their MAC address and now sending a request to DHCP. Mr. DHCP, I need an IP address. So DHCP receives that request and now says, okay, so now I know who you are. You are sitting on port number 21, because this is how they know by ports. And then DHCP would offer, keep that request here, and then offer the same person. Now that same person sends the request back again, and now it matches, oh, this is the same guy, let me send an IP address. That's how it is. So DHCP is a role. So DHCP is what? It's a role. And then if the function of DHCP is assign automatic IP addresses. And second one, no two machines can communicate with each other without a IP address. And then there are two ways to assign DHCP IP addresses, manually and automatically. When the IP address is assigned manually, it is known as a static IP address. When it is assigned by DHCP, it is known as a dynamic IP address. And then how DHCP assigns the IP address, it is following a process called DORA. And DORA stands for discovery, request, discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. And when it does a discovery, it sends a broadcast, and in broadcast is use IP address called 0.0.0, attaches its MAC address, and then send it to the DHCP. DHCP listens to that broadcast on which door? 67 and 68. So these are both ports for DHCP. So here it receives that request and says, okay, so yes, it's a legit request. Guys, it is very important to understand DHCP only understand DHCP request. Because there are many other applications, they are sending their own broadcast. So DHCP doesn't understand anything else. It only has ears for just DHCP request. And then it offers, then it requests back, and then it acknowledges if that's an IP address. Ta-da!
Just one question. Sonic, not the Sonic one, firewall, it enables, it protects the ports. Can we customize it to protect certain ports?
Yeah, all the time. All firewalls are customized to protect this port and leave open that other port. Yes. Yes.
So basically, when the discovery process happens, the PC that the discovery service being sent from is sent to the main PC, right?
Yes.
Which is the main server.
It is the main server. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, guys, let's take a break, and right after the break, we'll continue. Down.
31st part.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
So how does the client PC or the server, how does the client PC know which DHCP to go to? How does the client PC know which DHCP to go to?
Oh yes, it just broadcasts. So remember, it just broadcasts. It doesn't even know where it needs to go to. It just simply shouts within the crowd saying, I need an IP address. And if DHCP sits in that network, it replies back. If it's not, it won't get an IP address.
So DHCP cannot be in a different network? Like
It can be, then your routers should be able to pass through those broadcasts to other places.
So let's say all 3,000 servers, they go broadcast at the same time. Is there a priority list on the Mac?
No, no priority. Whoever first come, first serve. Okay? Okay guys, let's start. I removed Hamza you before. Now you keep on violating our very simple request.
I get into other people when they start speaking to me. It's like, you know what? I have to match their tone.
Okay.
He's using door number 67.
He's using door number 6. Okay guys, let's start. DHCP is a very, very important service in DHCP. What happens is, so DHCP is used by all organizations. You go to Rogers, Bell, Dell, everywhere DHCP exists. Guys, DHCP is a very important component in terms of automatic deployments. In terms of automatic deployment, DHCP is a very important component. So SCCM uses DHCP. WDF uses DHCP. Everywhere where the automatic deployments are, they use DHCP. Now in DHCP, we must understand. Yes, just off. So here, can you need anything?
Just get the dump file press.
Okay. So here, DHCP. So DHCP is that service that automatically assigns IP address. But now we should have a completely different definition of DHCP. So before we knew only that it assigns IP address, but now as soon as anybody speaks of DHCP, guys, you should automatically visualize DORA process, discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. And how does it work? It starts right from the client, and when the broadcast happens, what is broadcast? Broadcast is shouting in crowd. So it is just shouting in crowd. Whoever can understand and can reply back, so DHCP is the only person who replies back here. Now there are a few other things that we need to understand about DHCP, guys. As soon as an IP address is applied, so here we need to understand. So this is number 1, discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. So here number 1, discovery, and discovery is done through with broadcast. It's a broadcast, and broadcast uses 0.0.0.0 plus MAC address. Second one, the request. So here I'm going to say from client. And this one, request. Sorry, it's offer. Thank you. It's offer, reply back, reply from DHCP. Next one, request from client. Next one, acknowledge from DHCP. And the most important part, here it assigns the IP address. So right here, it assigns, DHCP assigns the IP address. DHCP assigns the IP address. Guys, that IP address that is assigned to this user, it has a lease time. So DHCP assigns the IP address to the client, IP address to client. So I have client 1, let's say a client, and client is IP address assigned here is 192.168 and 50. Now this IP address is assigned for a limited time frame. So this IP address has a lease time. So here I'm going to use a word called IP lease. IP lease time. Guys, that IP lease time, so now we need to understand. So you discovered, offer, request, acknowledge, IP address assigned. That IP address is assigned for a limited time, and by default, that limited time is 8 days. It is 8 days. So by default, this time is 8 days. So for 8 days, an IP address is assigned. So IP address is assigned for 8 days. So now what does that mean? Guys, this means that the lease time of IP address is 8 days. For example, you asked for IP address. I provide, as a DHCP, I provided you IP address, and IP address is given to this machine. Now this IP address will stick with this machine for 8 days. For 8 days, this machine doesn't have to ask for IP address again. Guys, this is the lease time is given at 8 days, and this can be increased or reduced. By default, it's 8 days. And most of the companies would change it to 2 days lease. But first of all, let's understand lease. Lease as a rent or temporarily given, it's not. So this IP address that is given to this machine is not a permanent IP address. Not a permanent IP address. So this IP address is assigned for 8 days. For 8 days, this IP address won't be assigned to anybody else. Guys, what is the meaning of lease? That this IP address that is assigned to this machine for 8 days, it won't be offered to anybody else. So for 8 days, this IP address is assigned, and the lease time is
8 days.
8 days. So what happens on 9th day? Guys, on 9th day, lease expires. So here I'm going to say 9th day, lease expires. Lease expires, and this IP address will be given to another machine. 9th day, lease expires, and this IP address will be given to this other machine. Now, if that machine responds back and reclaims that IP address, the same IP address will be given to that machine. So here, there is a lease time of 8 days. 8 days, IP address is given to you. Once it is given to you, you'll keep that IP address for 8 days. And on 9th day, if your machine was not on, if his machine is not on, that IP address will be given to somebody else.
Now, let's say if the server is trying to communicate with that specific client, but the lease is expired and another computer, another client has picked up the...
Yes, then server has to... so, guys, the question is, if the machine received the new IP address, maybe server won't be able to find that client again, which is quite possible. So it is very, very important for clients to keep their IP address for as much as possible. It is very important for clients to keep their assigned IP address for as much as possible. Now, Microsoft saw that the importance of the same IP address, so they have a process here on lease time. So I'm going to come back to your question in a minute. And here, lease time. Now let's understand this. It's very simple to understand. Guys, lease time process. Now, how does it work? First of all, I provided you IP address, and it is assigned for how many days? 8 days for a day. Guys, after 50% of the time, this this machine automatically has to go and reserve the IP address for the next 8 days. After 50% of the time, meaning after 4 days, machine needs to go and reactivate the IP address. If this machine and guys, since these machines are on every day in the company, so every day they are on. You're every day at work, right? So these leases are reactivated, reinitiated every day. Now, so for now we need to remember that 8 days is the full lease time, and after 50% of the time, the machine should be, and we don't have to do it, it is done automatically in the background. So his machine was on, and the machine was, so after 50% of the time, this machine will automatically go and reclaim this IP address for the next 8 days. So you see, the lease is being renewed automatically after 50% of the time. And let's say this machine was not here in after 50% of the time. So it will wait for 75% of the time then. After 6 days, DHCP will wait until this IP address will be. So DHCP is actually waiting for this user. So first of all, it can go after 50% of the time. If the machine is active, after 50% of the time, it will say, I need that IP address, I'm active, and next 8 days are again set up. And then let's say on 50%, on 4th day, the machine was not on. It was not there. So then machine can reclaim the IP address in 75% of the time. And even if the machine was not there, let's say the person is completely on vacation and not even in the office. So this was missed. So first renewal missed, second renewal missed, and now after 100% of the time, right till the last day, last hour, at the last hour, DHCP will wait. If this machine is activated on the network, the same IP address will be given to the machine for the next 8 days. Let's say complete 100% time is gone and the person was not in the office. At that point, this IP address will be assigned to any new machine that is asking for IP address. And guys, this process has to be in large organizations. Why? Because in all organizations, we have limited number of IP addresses. You don't have millions of IP addresses. So IP addresses, I'll come back to your question, but here, so just one more time. Machine starts, does a discovery process, DHCP offers, and then client requests, and then acknowledgement is done. IP address is assigned to you. So Ahmed, IP address coming to you. Ahmed, IP address coming. So you, IP address, good catch. IP address assigned for how many days? 8 days. Machine is turning on every day, and after 50% of the time, you would keep the IP address and you will ask me again, I need that IP address. So ask me. Okay, so you get it for the next 8 days. Let's say if machine was not on at any point in time, it will again, you can again renew that IP address automatically 75% of the time. And at the end of 100% of the time, you will, as a DHCP, I'll take that IP address back, give me the IP address. Yeah, no, throw it.
Automatic process.
So you give that IP address to me, and now I can reuse this IP address for another person shred. So now, at that point, you're doing a DORA process and missed. So, and IP address is given, and the same lease, it's the connection failed. Or maybe it was not a legit machine. So give it back to me, please. So guys, this is a lease time, and this is offer. Yes, question?
IP is used for communication purpose.
Yes.
Right. So what is the what is too important about a machine claiming the same IP? If it is different IP, it is functioning the same way.
It will function exactly in the same manner. It is just a matter of, guys, the question is very good. The question is that why is it so important for the machine to keep the same IP address? It is just a matter of that DHCP doesn't have to reprocess the request. So a completely new request has to go through all this process. But an old request just has to go to a renewal. So DHCP has to do a less task. Guys, it is very important in a network of thousands of computers. So if you ever go to a Rogers 8200 Dixie branch in Brampton, they have around 5,000 people under one roof. So 5,000 people meaning around, you're looking at around 7,000 machines looking for IP address and working. So let's say if this lease time would have not been there, then every day DHCP would have been very, very busy. So in this case, in this way, if one machine gets the IP address for next 8 days or at least 4 days, DHCP doesn't have to talk to this person. Keep the IP address. And same thing happens to our smartphones, guys. When you go home and you receive an IP address, now that IP address that is given to your phone and another IP address that is given to your brother's phone is two different, and there is a lease time attached. Same lease process works at your home on your home router as well. So all DHCP address follow this. Now the next point here is, do we understand lease process? Yes. And the next point here is, guys, now the big question that happens in networks is, that how long this lease, how big this lease time should be. Should it be 8 days? Should it be 1 day? Should it be 2 days? Should it be 3 days? Should it be 4 days? Or should it be 8 days or 12 days? So the question here is what is the best practice about a lease time? So guys, it is said that if your network is smaller, keep this lease time. If your network is smaller, so let's say we have a network of 20 PCs here. So I won't change it to anything else. But guys, if your network is huge, big network, then keep the lease time shorter, because then machines can get new IP addresses. Because if you have a huge big network, there might be guest machines in your network as well. You don't want to assign IP addresses for guest machine for 8 days and wait for them. So it is said that in larger network we keep the lease time shorter, but not as short as 1 day. You can have, so I've seen that in large network it is 2 days or 3 days. 3 days. Now as you can see, if the lease time is more, then let's say one IP address is given to one person, it is gone for at least 8 days. For 8 days, this IP address won't be assigned to anyone. And let's say this person was just visiting your office and connected to your network and got the IP address, and now he's not coming back. So IP address is gone for 8 days. So this is how long lease time affect your network. So it is said that in large network, keep the lease time to smaller, and in smaller networks, keep the lease time to higher, bigger lease time. Okay. So here, one more time. DHCP is a role. DHCP automatically assigns the IP address, and DHCP assigns the IP address following a DORA process. Discovery of a request acknowledged, and lease time is there. Now, guys, here the next big question is how DHCP is installed and it works. So the next part is this. So here, how to install and configure DHCP. So install, configure, verify. Very simple. All we need to do is this. Now, although we do have a DHCP server in our network, if you don't have a DHCP, you can still follow the same process. But here, I'm gonna write steps from the scratch. So here, in order to have a DHCP, all you need to do is decide one of the servers, and one of the servers you will set up DHCP server. So right here, I'm gonna say install role. So first of all, install role on server 1. Install role on server 1, DHCP role. And as soon as, do we remember the 3 steps of DHCP? One was installation, second is authorize, and third one, create a scope. So the same thing, install a role on server 1. Secondly, number 2, authorize DHCP. Now here, a very important point about DHCP. And that very important point is authorize DHCP. Guys, this authorization can only be done by an enterprise admin. Now remember this. This authorization cannot be done with a normal admin. So in Active Directory, when you install Active Directory, basically there are 2 types of admins in Active Directory. 2 types of admin. So one is known as, so in Active Directory, so AD, administrator, are of 2 types. One is domain admin, and one is enterprise admin. Guys, domain admin can only administrate everything inside a domain. And when domain, can you visualize that Active Directory? So it was 3 triangles, right? It was 3 triangles in Active Directory. And the 3 triangles were like this. So 1, forest, there is a tree, and then there is a domain. And inside a domain, there is a server. I'm just making it smaller because we did it a few times. So guys, domain admin is a person who has access inside the domain, inside just this blue triangle. Domain admin does not have access outside and on forest. Let's say in your network there is a second domain. If there is a second domain, if there is a second domain in your forest, this is the second domain. So this second domain, there is another domain, there is another administrator who has access to inside. So there is a second admin who has access inside. So this person has access only inside the green triangle, and this person has only access to inside. So domain admin, just the word, all you need to remember is the word, domain admin. Domain admin is a person, Shuja, who is a domain admin?
Control the domain only.
A person, you have all the time to read the book at home.
Yeah.
So here, I know it's interesting. It is. I read books. That's about what I just a few more things. Just few more things. This is very important stuff. Guys, read the books. Read the books. I read books. Shuja is very good in reading. No, he is. Okay, so when he joined, he said, I want to go through the book, and I was the happiest person because reading books gives you the knowledge that it takes you to another level, guys. And most of the time, we don't have time to read the book. So if somebody reads it, it's a good thing. Okay, here. Domain admin. Domain admin is a person who has access only inside a domain. But guys, enterprise admin is a person, remember the word enterprise. Enterprise admin is a person who has access to the complete forest. So enterprise admin is the highest level of admin that exists within the complete forest. So enterprise admin has access inside this domain and everywhere inside your environment.
He's the big cheese.
You can say he's the big chief or cheese. Yeah.
Maybe relevant or not. Domain controller, maybe he can, at a time, he can control 2 domains?
Yes. Enterprise admin can control 2 domains at the same time.
But not the domain controller.
No, he can control domain admins cannot control the other domain. Yes, domain admin cannot. So you can think of domain admin as how do you say? Prime Minister? No, Prime Minister has access to the manager. It's a department manager, whereas enterprise admin is the CEO. So here, let's look at this, both of these domains in our ADUC. Guys, open ADUC in your computers. Now we need to look for enterprise admin group and domain admin group. So look at this. If you go inside ADUC, open ADUC, guys, and within ADUC, go to built-in. Okay, it's in users. It's in users, guys. Users OU. It is in users OU. So there is one group called domain admins and second group called enterprise admin. So enterprise admin are those people who have is in users OU. So in users OU, enterprise admin from now on, just remember with the word enterprise. Enterprise means full access, whereas domain means only one domain access. Now, so here, we're going back to and if you need to see that who is enterprise admin, so basically this is a group, just double click on this group. Double click on this group here, and you go to members, double click on a group and go to members. And within members, there is only one person in this group, and that is administrator account. Let's say you want to make our the John Hope user account that we made, we need to make him a domain admin. So, enterprise admin. All you need to do is this. Within members, just go to add, and within add, just look for the word John and check name, and then add. Now John becomes an enterprise admin, meaning John has the most powerful account within this Active Directory. Guys, most of the time in enterprise admin is not given to anyone, not even to a systems administrator. This group most of the time is kept empty. But whoever needs to use it, we add users temporarily inside this account. Once the task is over, we remove it. Why? Because this makes it very, very dangerous account, because this person can change anything within the forest. So within the forest of, let's say, 80,000 objects. So your complete company is relying on Active Directory. So guys, having said that, so administrators are of two types. How many? Two types. There is domain admins, there is enterprise admin. Domain admin is bigger than enterprise admin. True or false? False. Enterprise admin is bigger than domain admin. Now guys, let's see the importance of DHCP authorization. DHCP authorization is so important that this can be only authorized by enterprise admin. For example, if you have a domain admin cannot authorize a DHCP server. It must be only authorized by an enterprise admin. So it is an interview question. If I need to install a DHCP server and I need to authorize it, what type of permissions do I need? Enterprise admin. Guys, a normal domain admin can install a role. A domain admin can install a role. But when it comes to authorization, domain admin cannot authorize. The authorization can only be done by a domain admin, enterprise admin. And sometimes, guys, when you install a DHCP role, it fails on authorization. And it fails because you're not logged in as enterprise admin.
What is authorization?
So DHCP must be authorized. DHCP must be authorized. Now, what is the meaning of authorization? What is the meaning of authorization? Guys, let's look at this. So here, let's say I've set up a DHCP server. I've set up what? A DHCP server. And DHCP server has all these IP addresses. Okay. Without a proper IP address, you cannot communicate with each other. Do we understand, Hamza? Do we understand, everyone? This is a very important point. So do we understand that without proper IP address, two machines cannot communicate with each other? Okay, let's take an example of your home. So at home, your all computers are using a specific IP address. Okay, with that specific IP address, your cell phone or your TV can only use internet from your home, but not from your neighbor's internet. Why? Because their DHCP does not give you IP address. Okay, so here is it. Guys, default DHCP behavior is giving. It always gives, no matter what. So as soon as you set up a DHCP would start giving out IP addresses, regardless of it is a legit DHCP or it is a test DHCP. Now let's say your network was happily ever after living. Your network was living happily ever after, and your network was fine. It was giving out IP addresses. Hamza, IP address coming to you. IP address? Oh, sorry about that. Wrong DHCP. It was wrong. And there is another IP address. Abdullah, IP address coming to you. Okay, there is another IP address going to Asad. Another IP address. And there is another. You're not a legit person. I'm not giving you that. But since he did a discovery.
Discovery, yeah.
And as soon as he came to me, I said, no. But anyway, DHCP can joke as well. IP address coming. Guys, DHCP is giving out IP addresses. And those IP addresses are for your own network. No, don't give him the IP address. Why are you giving your IP address to him?
8 days over.
Huh? 8 days over. So that's another problem.
DHCP role installed.
Okay, yes. So guys, here, now a right DHCP server. Now let's see. You all learned what DHCP is, and tomorrow you're employed in Rogers, and you say, oh, you know what? I learned DHCP. Let me have my own DHCP. So there is a legit DHCP working, and now what happens is there is another small little DHCP here. Oh, there is a small little DHCP. So what you did, you created a test DHCP in your machine. So now you have wrong IP. I mean, you have a test IP address. So what happens is, as DHCP is working, and second DHCP, guys, it's a very important point to understand. The second DHCP is also giving out IP addresses. Now what happens is, any new machine that is looking for IP address, whoever reaches first to whichever DHCP, that would provide IP address to the client. So let's say here, Ijaz machine looks for an IP address, and before this replies back, this little guy says, oh, I can give you IP address, and IP address given to you. And as soon as he receives the IP address, guys, his machine will completely stop. He won't be able to use internet. He won't be able to print anything. He won't be able to connect to the network because he has a wrong IP address. So guys, DHCP default functionality is that as soon as you start, it starts working. So till 2003, there was no authorization process. Till 2003, any person can install a DHCP and they can start working with DHCP. But guys, after 2008, due to a lot of incidents happened throughout the world. So one incident I personally saw in one of the large telecom organizations. So what happened, everything was working fine, and at one time we started getting trouble tickets from 5th floor of a building saying that they cannot connect to the network. So we went there, we saw that, okay, they are getting IP address, everything is fine, but they're still not able to connect to the network. And then later on, we found out that one of the employees installed a test DHCP server under the table. He didn't knew that it started offering IP address. So just because of that one person, complete floor, their own floor was stopped getting. So not complete, I mean, whoever got IP address from that machine, it didn't work. And this was not only one incident. And what did that incident cause? That one incident caused 50 or more people cannot work for 2 days because we were not able to find out where is the DHCP. So guys, in 2008, now Microsoft added something called authorization. So no matter how many DHCP you have in the network, your network, if you're joined to a eGreen Active Directory, you will only get the IP address from the eGreen DHCP. So this is where the authorization is. I can install 10 DHCPs here, but only one is authorized. So this one will be the one giving out IP addresses, whereas this one will offer IP address, but your machine, since they are joined to Evergreen, they won't accept any IP address from unauthorized DHCP.
Is it exemplary one, or is it only one that is authorized? Like you're saying one.
It should be only one. It should be only one, but you can have 2, 3, 4. It's up to you.
Authorized, and then they can give.
They can give IP addresses. Okay. So can I get my IP addresses back?
From the same scope, right?
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. And
So
thank
we have
you. And thank you. And any other IP addresses?
So we have to configure a scope on, like we have a 3 or 5, right? So we will create the scope.
No. Don't go there yet. Don't go there. How to manage multiple DHCP server? We're not going there yet. We're just making our first DHCP server. One more time, a quick review. Guys, today we are discussing DHCP, and one function of DHCP is assign automatic IP addresses. Now, IP addresses can be assigned in 2 different ways. It's a static IP address. So now I'm not going to call manual IP address because there is no such thing as manual. It's a static IP address or dynamic IP address. And then once the IP address is provided, it follows a process called DORA. And that is discovery, offer, request, and acknowledge. And discovery is done. When the discovery is done, it uses a broadcast IP address, and that is 0.0.0.0 attached with a MAC address, and then would send a request. DHCP would offer, and then you would request again, get an IP address. After that, there is a lease time of 8 days. And how does renewal work? What is the renewal process? Shuja, what is the renewal process?
8 days.
8 days. Good listening. So 8 days or 50% of the time. Guys, remember 50%. Don't remember 8 days. Why? Because your lease days could be 2 days only. If it is a lease time of 2 days, then after 1 day, it will look for renew IP address. Then 75% of the time, it will renew the IP address. After 100% of the time, IP address expires and will be given to somebody else. Yes.
Where can we see that lease policy?
I'll show you where it is in DHCP. So right here, guys, and now we are going through how to install, configure a DHCP server. All you need to do, install a role, and then authorize a role. And the last point of DHCP server is, to create a scope. Now, guys, here it is. So, first of all, when you first time create a DHCP, it works like an empty box. So DHCP is available, but it has no scope. So we must create a scope in DHCP. So here we're going to bring the IP addresses, a scope of 254 IP addresses. So there will be each scope cannot have more than maximum of 254 IP addresses. It cannot have more than 254 IP addresses. So here, so now scope. Each scope is, first of all, scope, it's a collection of IP addresses. So I'm going to say collection of IPs, something like 192, 168, 100.12, 192, 168, 100.254. 100.254. So this is a scope. Scope is just a collection of IP addresses. Number one. Number two, scope can be maximum of 254 IP addresses.
That's just a number?
It's just a number. Now, what does that mean? That means one scope can be of 254 IP addresses. If your company needs 400 IP addresses, you need 2 scopes. If your company needs 900 IP addresses, you need 3 scopes or more. So one scope can only be 254 IP addresses. Now from that scope, it will start giving out IP addresses, and the lease time starts. Yes.
Let's say the second scope would start from 254.
No, second scope will be again from 1 to 254, but this number will change.
With the third number.
The third number will change always. Don't go there at the moment, because we still need to learn what is IP addresses, how do you make IP addresses, and what is the meaning of these. There is a meaning for everything here. So for now, I want you to understand each scope is of how many IP addresses? 254. If your company needs 400 IP addresses, depending on the client, you need how many scopes? 2 scopes. You need 2 scopes. Now, how do you create these scopes? So here, create a scope, and then scope can be of 256 IP addresses. First 3 octets. So IP address is made up of 4 parts. And these 4 parts right here, the first 3 parts. Now here, the first 3 part is what do you say? Okay, first 3 part is known as a network address, and this is known as a host address. So there are 4 parts of an IP address. Whenever we create IP address, it is of 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. In technical language, it is known as octets. They are known as octets. So there are 4 octets in each IP address. 4. But the first 3 are known as network address, and last one is known as host address. You can also remember it as your home address. In home address, there is a street name and then the house number. So it's just like that. So the first part is your street name, and the last part is your house number. So this is your street name and house number. Guys, when you create a scope, in a scope, first 3 remains exactly the same in one scope. And in the second scope, the only thing that changes, second scope will be something like 100.101.10. So as you can see, the network address is changing, just like a street name is changing. So in one street, it was street name, and the second street name is different, but house numbers can be same. You can have 1 on this house, 1 number on this house, and house number 20 on this street, and house number 20 on this street. So when you create a second scope, the network address is changed, and instead of 100, it will be 101. And the third scope, 102. Fourth scope, 103. But the the host name will be exactly the same from 1 to 254. As long as the network address is different, it is fine. Each IP address should be unique in your network. Yes.
So that refers to different location, like one.
That refers to different locations. That refers to maybe 2 floors in the same building. It can be. It's just a different location, or it could be one complete floor of 500 machines. On one complete floor, you need 500 machines. So one scope is not enough. For 500 machines, how many scopes do you need? 2 scopes, because one scope is how many IP addresses? 254 IP addresses. Ahmed and Kim, what are we doing on our machines? Oh, you're writing it?
So 254 means, sorry, 0 to 253?
No, 0 to 256. 0 to 256. So these are, 254 means 1 to 254. No 0 and no 255. So this is where I said don't go into IP detail. There is a full chapter that we need to discuss. At the moment, we need to create a scope, and each scope can have maximum for how many IP addresses? 254. And 254 IP addresses will start from 1 to 254, and then each scope has maximum 254 IP addresses. There are just two more things. Question.
First two numbers never change.
First three numbers.
First three numbers never changes in one scope. Yes. So here, scope. Now scope has an exclusion range as well. A scope has an exclusion range. Exclusion range. Now if exclusion range is referred to as the IP addresses, exclusion range are referred to as IP addresses that you don't want to assign to clients. You don't want to assign to clients from the scope. So for example, my scope starts from 1 to 254, so my scope starts from 1 to 254. But I do not want to offer IP addresses from 1 to 50. So this is my exclusion range. So when DHCP starts offering IP addresses, it will start from 51. So I'm just saying that 1 to 50, do not offer it to anyone. Why? Because from 1 to 50, these IP addresses are assigned to my servers. Yes.
We've already made a scope with these settings.
Yes, exactly. We already made a scope for these settings. And how can we do it again? We can make another scope.
Yeah.
We can make another scope. So we'll make another scope. We'll make another scope in 10 minutes. Yes. So here, first of all, scope has few things. Scope has a range from 1 to 255. Secondly, it has an exclusion range. What is exclusion range?
You don't want to reserve the IP addresses so that it doesn't.
You want
assign
to
to anybody
exclude
else.
IP addresses. We need to exclude IP addresses from our range. So there is an exclusion range. And the third one here is you have scope options. Scope options is what do you want to assign along with the IP address? What do you want to assign along with the IP address? Okay. So here, guys, let's take 5 minutes and discuss this all. And then I'll remove the board, and then we'll add a few more things. So in 5 minutes, what do we need to discuss? So in a pair of two, we need to discuss each and everything that is written here. The only purpose of this discussion is just to reinforce the knowledge here so that it stays for longer time. This is where we start from. Our architecture is this, number one. And number two, today we started here, DHCP. Number two, DHCP, you must say, the person who is describing must say DHCP is a roll-in server 2008 and 2003. And DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. And the third one, what is a function? The function is assign IP addresses automatically. And the fourth one, IP addresses is important. IP address is important because no two devices, computers can communicate with each other without IP address. And number five, two ways to assign IP addresses. Number one is static, and number two, dynamic. So there is a dynamic and static. Just say the definitions. And then number six, how to assign IP addresses. From here, describe the DORA process, and here visualize the DORA process. The visualization is very important. This one you will remember for longer time as compared to this one, because this is a written information, and this is what you can visualize. So drive it. One time, just drive it. It starts from here. It knocks at the door. Hello, knock, knock, knock. I need an IP address. Actually, so my question to you is, this machine, did it knock on all the doors, or did it knock only on this door?
All the
doors. It is broadcast. It says, I need an IP address. Now it goes here, 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 here. What is unicast? Unicast, when it knew that it needs to go to a specific IP. So visualize this here, 6.1, and then here 6.2, right here. So 7 is right here. 7 is lease. You need to discuss lease. And 8 is right here. how to set up IP address, and 9 is here. How many types of admins are there? Ta-da! 9 points. Yes.
The IP addresses that are in the exclusion range, can we use them as static IP?
Yes, they are used. So that is why we make them excluded, because they are used as static IP addresses. Okay. So guys, people sitting on the right, my right, people sitting on the right are listening, and people sitting on the left are starting with point number 1. So start point number one, people on the right, and you three can start discussing. You just need to describe one point. No, don't go in details. Don't go in exactly what is written on the board. Guys, your time starts now, and it's only 3 minutes. So start now. Quick. 1 point. It's not the word quick. It is the description. If ears are open, just start saying. Just quick.
Role जब भी start किया जाता है, structure role के साथ
So just try to start starting.
role का feature के साथ आपको benefit मिलेगा, तो role जो है ADDS role है, आप पर indicate करना है। ये network में जितने लोग हैं, इसको IP address का दो तरीकों से dynamically, उसका statically problem जब भी DHCP देगा IP इससे पहले उसको अप्लाई हो जाएगा, तो वो आपको नेटवर्क में जो मशीन होगी उसको देगा IP हाँ बस ये DHCP हो गया और मशीन वो क्या होगी DHCP क्लाइंट जो मशीन रिक्वेस्ट करेगी क्लाइंट DHCP आपने इंस्टॉल किया range of items. Start and end. ये start हुआ और ये end हुआ. 0 to 255.
No, show me the circle.
256 होगा. 0 to 255. लोग पीछे कितने रहेंगे? 254. फर्स्ट सीन जो है
What point are you on? What point?
ये इस पे आ गया क्या अपना
Which one?
स्कोप पे
Okay, quick.
ठीक है एक जो है 190 से एक ऑप्शन है तो ये 3 ऑप्शन हो गए 24 बिट्स हम आपको 192.168.100 उसमें आपने कितने दे दिए 54 दे दिए फिर आपने दूसरा जो ये जो 100 है ना ये सेपरेट है ये जो 180 आपने नहीं चल रहा ऊपर 182.168 ये तो सिर्फ सेपरेट कर 101 आ गया फिर 254 फिर आपने 254 जनरेट कर और उसको ऐड होता गया
Exactly. It basically goes up to the 100 kilo and the number can see
ये भी जो है ना अटैच टू एवरीथिंग जो 100 है ना ये भी 255 तक जा सकता है ये भी 255 सब्जेक्ट जो होगा वो भी पूरा जाएगा ठीक है जो लोकेशन है फॉर एग्जांपल एक अपार्टमेंट है अपार्टमेंट और एक घर है वहाँ हर एक हर घर को आईपी एड्रेस फिजिकली लिखा हुआ है ठीक है लेकिन सेम है लेकिन वो जो बिल्डिंग है जिसके अंदर अपार्टमेंट है अब लोकेशन एक होगी ना लोकेशन एक होगी लेकिन 100 अपार्टमेंट को अगर वन
हमारा मतलब आई थिंक जो आपके जो सवाल है वो ये कि प्राइवेट राउटर के लिए तो वो राउटर के लिए आपको आईपी एड्रेस तो आपको जो आईपी एड्रेस है वो आपके पड़ोसी राउटर के लिए वो प्राइवेट
Okay guys, let's start. Thank you for the discussion. Here. So scope has a scope range. Scope has scope range. And this is what we need to do. We are all creating a second scope on our DHCP. So if you, how many of us have DHCP guys? How many of us? So all of us except Kim? Huh? So just add a role. Do you have DHCP in your machine? Okay, just create a second scope. Guys, let's create a second scope. Now keep in mind that second scope, we are creating the second scope so that your DHCP can start signing IP addresses. So right here, all you need to do is go to server 2, and go to DHCP. Yes, server 2. Go to server 2 and go to DHCP. Everyone, quick. Let me know who cannot get to server 2 and DHCP. You cannot? Server 2? Server 2.
Server 2 doesn't have a DHCP.
server 1
If I am saying, please, I am the teacher. There is no DHCP. So meaning no role, no DHCP. No role, no DHCP, which is, you're right, 100%. We need to go to server 1 and go to tools, DHCP manager, and now we're creating a second scope. We do have a first scope. We don't want to disturb it. Guys, here, keep in mind now. So at all time in training 410, 411, 412, your class lab and home lab, you are the administrator of these servers, and WDS should never break. WDS at any point in time within these 4 months. If I come to your machine and I want to deploy a new machine, so every week check your WDS if it is working fine or not. So if DHCP is not working, your WDS won't work. So you are the administrator of these networks. We need to make sure that this network keeps working till the end of this training, which is end of this year. So the same network will keep on expanding the same network, adding VMware, Citrix, and everything. But you need to make sure at any point in time, if I come to your machine, WDS should never break. And WDS will break if any component, anything is not there. So remember WDS, one word for WDS? Automatic deployment. Automatic deployment. You need to install WDS and then configure WDS, right? Remember? And then in WDS, there are 2 types of files used, install images and boot images, remember? And then you need to add an install image and boot image. So at any point in time, guys, don't let it die. Don't let it, and if you are able to, if you are what to? Able. If you are able to keep alive DHCP from now till the end of this training, guys, you are the real system admin with 10 years of experience. This is what we do in real environment. We are given a service. It is our duty to make it available 24/7. If, let's say, at any point in time, and it will break, it will definitely break. And if it won't break, I'll pass by your machine, I'll break it. Just to test you out. Yes, I'm going to test you out just to break the WDS, and you need to fix it. But it's your responsibility to keep working. WDS should be working, and from today, DHCP is also your responsibility. At any day when your machine is open, and if I pass by and I change configurations, your DHCP will stop working. And at the end of the training, the groups we have, we're going to have competition. So one group will break other group's lab, and you all need to fix it. So guys, the troubleshooting is the main part that is required in the real market. So right here, scope. So we're creating a second scope. First of all, you need what? You need to have DHCP. So if you expand your DHCP, first of all, let's make sure it is authorized. How do you know it is authorized? Now, it is exactly in the real environment, I would look at DHCP. So first of all, I'll right-click on DHCP. If it says the word unauthorized, it means that it is authorized. If it says the word authorized, it means that it is not authorized. Now, what is one condition with authorized? That only who can authorize? Enterprise admin can authorize. Now here, we're not going to change anything here. All we need to do, we're going to come down to IPv4. And in IPv4, there is already one scope. So first of all, before creating the second scope, let's see how to read a scope. So this is a scope. And the scope name is 192.168.100.0. The scope name is eGreen Scope 1. The second scope, we're going to name it eGreen Scope 2. Now this is exactly like this. So your company is in this building, and this building has, let's say, 5 floors. But your company is on 4th floor and 5th floor. So here, for this floor, you already have a scope for 192.168.100.0 to 12254. Now you are asked to create a second scope for this floor. So you are creating a scope now. So in this case, so we named this scope was eGreen. It was called scope 1. And this one we're going to call eGreen F1 S2. So this is floor 1, this is floor 2. So when you create a scope, we need to name them properly so that we know that where the scope is working. Because in your companies, you might have hundreds of scope. You need to know which scope is for which place. So here, this is why this scope, we're going to call it F1. This is actually floor number 4. So we're going to call it F4 or S2. So this is your scope number 2, but it is floor number 4. So now here you read the scope. So first of all, before creating that scope, let's look at it. So first of all, we need to see that how many IP addresses are in this scope. So you go to address pool, and in address pool, it shows you 2 things. This is the range that is open for DHCP, and this is the range for exclusion. It says excluded. So meaning this is what we did. We said that we have all 254 IP addresses, but I don't want to use these IP addresses. So this is an exclusion IP address, exclusion range. Your question is, why would we have exclusion range? Answer is, because these IP addresses are statically assigned to some of the machine. We don't want, if 2 machines have same IP address in the network, both cannot work. Yes.
We don't have the exclusion.
It's fine. So if you don't have an exclusion range, we're going to create exclusion range. Now in this case, guys, if you don't have an exclusion range here, if you don't have an exclusion range, all you need to do is right-click in this area, right-click in this white area here under address pool. So select address pool, and then right-click here and say new exclusion range. So as soon as you do click on new exclusion range, here just say 192.168. So match it with your current range. Here your main range is 12254, and your exclusion range should be 192.168.100.1 to 50, or maybe 20. So whatever IP addresses you want to exclude from your DHCP. So your exclusion range will be 1 to 50, just 1 to 50.
Can we make another one 50 to 75?
100%. You can make hundreds of exclusion ranges.
So if you have a scope and the client machines, they have they took the IP addresses from the DHCP, and then we create an exclusion range.
Yes.
And we put those IPs which the machine's already using. So
yes. So it's a good question. Let's say your DHCP was working, and these IP addresses are already assigned to someone. If I create an exclusion range, guys, you must have to wait for these IPs to expire. Once they expire, they won't be given again to anyone.
Will you be given an error here?
No, you won't be given any error. You can. This is just exclusion range, so it won't be offered to anyone. These IP address in future it won't be offered to anyone. But for now, they are assigned to some other machine.
After expiry, will they get the same IP address or
No, they will get a new IP address.
Okay.
As soon as they go, DHCP will find out, oh, it's exclusion range. It will get a new IP address from the production range. Yes. So exclusion range is done.
Quick question.
Yes.
I just want to, for example, if I get hired as system admin, right?
Yes.
Now the person prior to me, he was getting fired, so he deletes all the exclusions. Is there a way to find out what these static IPs are?
So guys, a very important question. So a very important question. The question is that let's say you're hired for a company and you are given responsibility for a DHCP, but the previous person out of anger deleted all DHCP configuration. Is there a way for you to find, you as a new employee, to find out what was the setting there? So you have to set up exactly how it was set up. Guys, the only way to go back to the previous through backup. If they would have had previous backup, and how do you backup DHCP? How do you backup DHCP? It's right here. All you need to do in order to backup DHCP, you right click on a server and here it says backup. If you backup right here, it will save all your DHCP settings, configuration in a file, and later on you can restore. There is a restore as well. You can restore from to a previous. But if that backup is very, very old, it won't help you. So if your settings are deleted, your exclusions are deleted, the only way to go back is either backup or that person himself. Most of the time people don't do this. They can't do this because your company can sue them. Your company can sue them for kind of tampering with their system. It's in their contract. You cannot. You have to give everything that you have in your possession when your employee is owned by the company. Your emails are owned by the company. Your computer owned by the company. Everything. You have to return it back. Okay, and you cannot destroy anything. So here, guys, let's create. So first of all, this is the address pool. Address pool is the IP addresses that will be assigned to people. Number one. And what is an address pool? Address pool has two things. One is IP addresses that can be assigned, and second is exclusion range. Now the next one is very important. The next one is important, address lease. Guys, this address lease will show you how many IP addresses are leased. This will show you how many IP addresses are leased on the network. So here, if you remember, these are all IP addresses are leased. And since the lease time is 8 days, that's why they are not cleaned up yet. So remember when we were doing a bare metal test for WDS, these all IP addresses were given to different machines at that time. So this is actually, if you need to know how many IP addresses are leased out to people, you need to go to address lease. If your address lease is empty, it means that your DHCP did not lease any IP addresses. Okay. Now one more thing. Sometimes since now I know that these machines are not available on the network. So in order to expire them right now, since I know that these machines are not available, all you need to do is select the machine and delete. You can delete. Now you immediately expired the IP address. Now this IP address will be available for everyone. So if you need to expire forcefully any IP address, you don't want to wait for 8 days, then all you need to do, go into address list and just keep on deleting IP addresses.
Here we can see the expiry date on the next.
No. Expiry date is not here. It depends on your lease period. So the lease period is actually in your scope properties. So in your scope properties, if you go into scope properties here, the lease period is right. It is right here, 8 days. So basically, but if you need these IP addresses and you know for a reason that these machines are not here, all you need to do is just go and delete
So
them.
it does say over there as well, lease expiration date.
Oh, it has the expiration. Yes, it has the expiration date. Okay. So it has the expiration date. Now, if your DHCP is working fine, let's say I deleted them all. Guys, let's do a test of a bare metal machine on this. Let's create a bare metal machine, and we all know how to create a bare metal machine, right? A machine without operating system. A VM without operating system. Just create a new machine and then keep an eye on this. There should be an IP address that is given to that machine. It should appear here. So let's test that out. So DHCP is working fine, and all we need to do, just go to home and create a new virtual machine. Just go to home, create a new virtual machine, and once you create a new virtual machine here, just go to next, and here instead of providing ISO, just say I will install ISO later. So bare metal machine is set to be a machine without a operating system. Without operating system, yes.
Before I do that, do you want me to go to edit and then change the setting or no? If you want to go to edit,
Oh, that no. If you did it once, you don't have to do it again.
I reset my settings last time because.
Okay, then you must do it.
I had problems with my computer.
So guys, what Hamza's question is, Hamza is saying that should you need to go to in VMware Workstation Edit and go to Virtual Network Editor, and should you turn off the DHCP on virtual network? Yes, you do need to. If it is done once, you don't need to do it again.
If you reset your setting.
If you reset your setting, then you need to do it once. So just make sure that this is not, if you selected NAT, this option is not selected. This option is not checked. This must be unchecked for your DHCP to work. Now this is exactly the case where I said 2 DHCPs, one real DHCP, one fake DHCP. So basically VMware Workstation is also offering IP address. We don't need VMware's IP address. We need our DHCP to provide IP address. For that reason, we are disabling VMware's IP address. Now once this is done, all you need to do is create a new machine. So just create a new machine, and next, and without operating system, and let it go. Oh no, it has to be Windows 7, and then next, and we'll leave it as Windows 7 because we're not installing operating system. And this is a test of your WDS as well. If your WDS is working, it should offer you F12. So here goes nothing. Ta-da! So here, let's start the machine. A machine is starting. I'm not interested in how machine is going, but I'm interested in the lease IP address. Should it get a lease IP address? So here, you need to press refresh here. So press refresh on address lease. So select address lease and then refresh. Refresh, 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 refresh. What? Okay. So it got the IP address. And WDS, my WDS is working fine. Who WDS is not working fine? Let me get an envelope.
If you don't have WDS, right?
It's $20 if your WDS is not working. So I'll check. I'll check in a few minutes.
Insert the CD here and install it. Right?
Okay. So now I see an address is leased, and address is leased to the new machine.
Forget about this. Cancel.
And my WDS is working fine. Now let's check. WDS.
I was just restarting the computer because the.
We're lucky. Guys, we got one pizza from here. So WDS is not working. No, it's good. So make it work. Your WDS is working. Is it?
Yes, so I got a request.
You have a this one, right?
Yeah.
No problem. Just network next.
Good. And yeah. Downloading WDS. WDS is working?
I haven't tried yet.
Okay, try now.
Mine is working.
I need to assign the boot images. I need to assign boot images.
Did you do the homework?
What we gonna do?
I install
Instead of that,
Okay, by next week, please.
I have all the issues.
we will make the machines interpret.
Okay, you have all of
One
name them properly.
IP address.
Because this way I don't know which machine they're on. Okay, just follow the video. Do you have the link for the video? Okay.
We will get
WDS? WDS? Show me the-
DNS
What?
and DHCP.
What? I can hear you. WDS? Left key. We got another pizza. 2 pizzas, right?
So G, it works for me, no pizza.
What? It's not working for you.
Yeah, it's working.
Oh, it's working. So, one pizza. It's working. That's why it's working. And it's working. And here it's working. Try it. WBS is working. Maybe on the machine. And?
It's working, but I don't know. See that it's assignment. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's working on the basic. Of course I said So, always remember, if all machines does one broadcast and second, they broadcast to a separate.
They are disappointed, you know, that
And it's working. And make sure that it's pizzas.
So next Saturday, 3 p.m.
So you told me your machine was and it's not working. Oh, you're not trying to hold that as well.
No, the services are okay. He said none.
Whoever's missing at 12 need to bring the ISO.
Why is it? So, yeah, we told me about it. That's good. Like everything is guys, create a second scope quickly. Create a second scope on DHCP with the name eGreens F4 S2 with the name and the IP address 192.168.101.101. Create a second scope. Yes. So your first scope was 102. And this one is 101.
नेक्स्ट कोर्स के बगैर
Okay, so image
जब आपने कोर्स करना होता है
You understood it for the first time. When I said you understood, you were just playing it. Hurry up.
उसके दौरान भी आपको
Okay.
without that
Okay, let's create a second scope. Let's create a second scope. Excellent, guys. Congrats. Your all WDS is working fine. Make sure it is a challenge to keep it working till the end. And if you're able to, at all time, your WDS should not go down. Your DHCP should not go down. Your DNS should not go down. Anything. And later on, we're going to add failover clustering. We're going to add local load balancing and everything. So the more we go into this training, the more responsibility you keep on getting in this network. And this is what the challenge is. How do you make it? How do you make sure that everything stay connected? So here, I'm going to create a second scope. So second scope is like this. So you select IPv4 and then right click and create a new scope. And once you create a new scope, here, first of all, name, and the name of the scope is E green F4 S2. F4 in our case, since it is floor number 4, we're just calling it F4.
Is it F4 dot S2 or just
No, just S2. Scope 2, floor 4. And the next range, this is the range. So range is 192.168. 101.1 to 254, and subnet mask remains the same. Next, exclusion range. So exclusion range, I want to exclude IP addresses from 1 to 10, 1 to 50. And I want to have another exclusion range. So within the same, I'm gonna add from 220 to 254.
So we can custom this.
Yes, we can make a. So now I have two ranges separate. So from 1 to 50, I don't want to assign, and from 220 to 254, I don't want to assign. So basically, now your real range is from 51 to 219. From 51 to 219, the IP addresses will be assigned. Both IP addresses from the start and end, they will be excluded. So here, once it is done, and here is the lease time, I want to assign 3 days of lease time. Just 3 days of lease time. And next, now it asks me, do you want to add some extra stuff with the IP address? So we're going to say yes, we need to assign some extra stuff. So first of all, gateway, we don't need a gateway. So just leave it blank. And do you need a DNS? And if your settings are all correct, then it should show you your real DNS. But in my case, it's not correct. So my DNS IP address should be 192.168.100.10. Should be 100.10. So here, let's write. If
What if yours is right? What if yours is right?
If yours is right, then just leave it and press next. And if it is not right, then I would just go in and assign the DNS IP address. So add the DNS IP address and then remove the others. So you need to remove others. So you added the one and you removed the other. So the one that I added is 192.168.100.10.
And what about the WNS IP address?
Which one? Oh, WINS.
Yeah.
WINS IP address. So second one is WINS. No, nothing in WINS. Now, what is WINS here? So DNS, we already know that this is a name resolution service. What is WINS? Guys, WINS is also like a name resolution service, and this we'll discuss next week, because next week we're going to discuss DNS. WINS is also, WINS is older DNS service, not used anymore. So here, we're just going to say next.
Can you go back to start? What is this now?
This is DNS right here.
Yeah, no, but why did you type in that number?
Oh, I didn't type it. I actually removed it. So it should be like this. It should be just like this. If it is like this, it's fine. Yes.
Yeah, but we.
What is the name of the second school?
So those files are logical name. Just enter any logical name. Series कोई भी name logical name. You make a floor 5, floor 10, scope number 4 there. That को दूसरा देखते तो solve करेगा. Scope का ये नाम से थोड़ा सा बहुत पता चलेगा
What will be your second exclusion?
Second exclusion is this. So two exclusions. Exclusions are two. One is from 1 to 50 and 220 to 254.
Okay.
Yes, activate the scope. And once this is done, after that it asks for activate the scope, activate the scope. Your second scope is ready. WINS, just leave it as is. And WINS, it's an old DNS. You can say it's old DNS and not used anymore.
leave it blank, right?
Leave it blank.
Come down here.
So now you have a second scope ready.
So lease was 3 days? What?
Lease is 3 days.
3 days.
So we said 3 days. So guys, this week's homework, page 241 from the book. You need to create a new server and just go through the chapter. Now, one thing that I would say here, look at this chapter here. So within this chapter, within this exercise, guys, here within this exercise, look at this. And it's a very, very important part. Look at it. Now, since we are not used to PowerShell, everyone, I need your attention on screen just for 2 minutes. Just for 2 minutes, everyone, and calling all cars. So everyone here. Just 2 minutes. Do you look at this? That this command you need to run on PowerShell when you do the exercise. Guys, be ready that when you run this command, it will give you many error messages. Now, once it gives you error message, always make sure, everyone, that you type it exactly in the same manner. For example, there is a space between, so there is no space in this, there is a dash between this, and then there is a space, then dash, then name, then there is another space. So do not forget to write it exactly. And it is just showing you in the next line because it did not want it to, make a long line, but this is actually one line. You do not need this comma. This only shows that this continues. So all you need to do is this. Write this and continue with the second line in the same line here. These are not two lines.
So after the user, there is a dash, but there's no space, nothing.
Where is it? After that, there is a space, and after space, then there is dash, account expiration date, then space, then inverted commas start, then type exactly same thing, and inverted commas closed, and then space, then dash, then city, then space, and then guys, if you miss out one space, if you miss out the dash, if you miss out how it will give you a huge big headache because it won't work. And then you will come back next week telling me, oh, I tried my best. I spent 8 days and it did never work. Can you imagine I spent 8 days and then I spent 99 hours on this and this stupid command? Guys, the thing here is you need to have that patience. You need to have that patience and please, just make sure it works. If it doesn't work, you can come here and I'll help you out. Okay? And if anybody needs to ask any question on a group, just take a snapshot and ask, what should I do? I'm stuck here. Don't try to explain anything on, try explaining it in a group, but snapshot, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So with a picture, people will help you out here.
Okay, what I want to know is that whatever we did yesterday and class today, you want to replicate this in our home assignment?
Home assignment, yes. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create 2 more videos for both chapters. So, and I'm going to upload them either tonight or tomorrow night. You need to do that in home lab, yes.
There's a blue thing.
Yes, just press refresh. Once it is the first time when it is made, it turns to blue and then go here refresh.
Bring the pizza.
Show me the properties. Yes.
Yes. Start with you first.
Class is not finished, guys. Who is speaking with? Who is speaking with?
Can you take Hamza off? Hamza like on the road anywhere.